Facebook, and we're in. Okay. Yes, we're here, everybody. Okay,
Wow,
guys,
it's already
it's
Friday.
it is Friday. So happy it's
Yay!
Friday.
It
Ooh,
is the
so
last
pumped.
day. I felt like yesterday flew by for a training camp day, and now we're suddenly here on the last day, which, guys, we've learned so much alongside with you. I still am thinking about all of the different things that the product team, Kyle and Lear and David,
Yeah,
showed us all. And my mind is just continuing to move. But it's so nice to
I
see
know.
everyone. Hello to our usual folks who have been joining us. I see Christopher, Diana. Hello,
Diana.
guys. And then I know Facebook friends too. I have been recognizing your names on there. So Stephanie is in Facebook. I have Eric with me behind the scenes answering within Zoom. So we are everywhere all at once.
Yep.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Jeanette. Nice to see you here. Gilbert. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
all of our friends.
Gilbert's
I'm
been here
opening
for a
up
lot.
and I'm in Facebook. I'm in I'm watching Facebook. So that's what we have, like all our we have multiple monitors so we can like see everything. It's really fun.
Except we run
Like,
into the problem where we have almost like too many windows and too many
yes, there's
screens. I'm
that.
sure that you guys can relate to that, but
I know.
no.
No, it is wild, but Bonnie, I'm going to let you take it away because this is
All
so I
right.
can't believe it's time. It
I
is.
know. And this has been really a popular topic throughout the week because one, security is always the biggest thing when it comes to you and your clients' information. And not only that, but we are releasing so many upcoming CRM features. We released supplier invoicing on the first day of training camp. And so I had a whole script planned out. And I was not going to talk about invoicing nearly as much, but I've decided, you know what, we're going to shift gears. We're going to focus a lot of our time this morning on getting comfortable using supplier invoicing, but we're also going to talk about the CRM right now, forms, and a couple of my different tips. But let's go ahead and get started today, everybody. Now, you guys might be familiar with these slides. I could probably pull one of you up to say the usual thing that we always do, but one, we're always recording this. We are putting it on our YouTube. Stephanie is super quick about making sure it gets up there. So if you want to watch it, as a little evening activity with the family, you could do that. But we also are doing live Q&A, and we've expanded it this year. One, mainly due because, we all run into hiccups when it comes to production, when it comes to life in general. So we're doing Q&A on Facebook. That's where Stephanie is wanting to hang out today. And then I've got Eric who's doing Q&A on my end over here. So if you guys have questions, let us know. And then Stephanie and Eric are going to go ahead at the end, feed me some questions that we can all discuss together a bit more. And then last of all, join the Facebook group. I put a post in there late last night, more so around 5 p.m. But we put in a very exclusive Travefy official group post with some different Canva templates. If you want to share them out on your socials, that's a great way to enter our social contest, which I will talk about here soon. But two, let your clients know that you're investing your time for them. What are you doing this week? Some clients don't even realize what you do on a day-by-day basis. So I think that's always a great way to get in front of them. I'm someone who talks about being consistent with social media. So we've got you covered. Join the Facebook group. We've got some links for you to choose from. Now, here's a series that's been super fun this year that I think we're going to just have to continue along with future training camps, and that is our new agent series. We've talked about all four of these topics. Actually, we're going to talk about itineraries in the next session, but these are sessions where it's really great if you are a newer advisor, if you're new to Travefy, to just really sit down and dive into some of our core features, if you will. We get back to the basics. We start at the very beginning of everything. But it's also really great for those of you who have been users of Travefy for a while and you need a good refresh. You just need to expand your knowledge a little bit more in some of these certain areas. These are really great all around. So join us. That's what Stephanie is doing in the next session. Not only that, this is happening today. We are doing our happy hour. This has been a super fun week doing educational series and really taking it all in. But now we get to relax at the end of training camp. We love doing this. We are going to do a happy hour trivia round. So brush up on your travel knowledge. But we will be doing this, I believe it's at 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So join us. We have some prizes, and speaking of prizes, we also have that social contest going on. It's really easy. We aren't going to make you do a lot. You can post a picture on either Instagram or Facebook. Just use hashtag TravefyTC25, and that enters you in for a Travefy swag pack. Now, I'm going to be giving you some time to do all of this. I will probably choose a winner to announce at happy hour. Someone hold me to it, or if there's enough pushback, maybe I'll extend the deadline because I know the week has been crazy. So we have all of this going on, just really great ways to win prizes and have a little bit of fun with everything. By the way, it's National Pet Day, so if you haven't posted yet, post your pet who is, your work from home buddy, and that's always a good conversation starter. Now, last couple of things, if you have not already, if you have a Travefy account, don't pay attention to this next part, but if you don't have a Travefy account, start your free trial. I always say this. The best way to learn the system is by starting your trial, getting into the system, playing around with it on your own, and just seeing if it's a good fit for you and your needs right now. We'll also have, oh my gosh, some of our sales team, here's to coffee. I don't know if anyone else is drinking coffee today, but some of our sales teams will be reaching out to you when you start your free trial just to check in on you and make sure if you have any questions, we get that answered. But all right, next session coming up after this one at 12. That is going to be where Stephanie is walking us through really the best ways to put together an itinerary in Travefy. And so again, this is part of our new agent series where we're taking it back. We're doing it from the very beginning. And yeah, we're going to have some fun with her as always. But now we're going to go ahead and dive right on into Travefy. And just as a reminder, this is where we're talking about Travefy CRM as it currently stands, but we have so many exciting features coming like email integration, contact enhancements, all the sorts of things that go along with that. And if you missed it, you should go ahead and look back at the recording that Kyle and Leart did where we actually got a first look at some of this. There were some things that we haven't even seen that we were mind blown about. So that's just my little push to you guys. If there's a recording you should watch, I highly recommend that one from yesterday. But I'm going to go into my contacts right now. This is where Travefy CRM currently lives and what it looks like right now. And I know that Stephanie did a really excellent CRM walkthrough for the new agent series the other day. I'm not sure how many of you were able to join that one, but that laid a nice foundation for what I'm talking about today. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of tips and tricks when it comes to all parts of Travefy CRM. And then, like I said, I pivoted my whole script today to focus a bit more on the supplier invoicing. So I hope you guys don't mind. But first things first, one question that I was seeing a lot is how do we add contacts into Travefy CRM? And there's actually a few ways, and I want to talk to you about that. One is you can actually import your contacts right into Travefy. When I select import contacts, you are going to get this pop-up window if you can see that okay on my screen. One, this is an example of what you would want your spreadsheet to look like. And I know for advisors, this is something that I learned a few years ago that took me off guard, but you guys are spreadsheet experts. So this should probably look pretty familiar, pretty easy for you to put together. But you do want to make sure that each of these columns are matching what you see. If you want to pull in birth dates, other information, these are all custom fields of mine, and I'm going to talk about that soon, that are already in my account that I added. Now, again, if you're doing this yourself, you want to make sure that it looks exactly like this example. However, if you want to keep it as easy as possible, download the template file. It's going to have this all ready for you just to put in your client's information. And that allows you to pull in all of your clients all at once in together. However, if you don't have a spreadsheet where you have all of your clients quite yet, maybe you're a newer advisor entering the industry right now. First of all, congratulations. That's always a really big step. But another way that you can add your contacts into your client CRM here is by selecting new contact And this creates and opens up a brand new contact profile for you to fill out with information. So if you met so-and-so, you got their card, their information, let's say that this is a supplier, you can put in their name, a little bit of descriptions and details, email, phone, street address, but you can also add things in like your custom fields as well as labels. Now, custom fields, think of this as categories of information that you as an advisor, as an individual, like to collect on your clients. A lot of time this is going to be birth dates, anniversaries, allergies, flight, seat preference, you name it. Start thinking about the type of information that you typically like to get from someone. Those are all great custom fields. Now, with the contact enhancements that are coming, a lot of these fields are going to already be pre-populated for you. But if you want to dive in right now, I highly recommend adding in some custom fields of your own. So as you can see, here are what mine look like. And let me just go ahead. I'm going to select Manage Custom Fields. If you've never added in a field before, this is what you'll want to click. And from here, I can actually see all of my current ones. I can archive them if I need to. I can also write them in if I want to. I'm actually going to archive the birthday one and we'll add that in together. So let's do that. I'm going to select Add Another Field. And from here, pretty simple, you just type in that category of information that you're looking for. So we'll type in birth date. And to the right is the type of answer field we're looking to put in. Do we want to put this as short text? Or is it a date? And it is a date, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. You might see below that protected one. This is really great if you're asking for something like your frequent flyer numbers, or if you want, a little extra security around the type of information you're looking for. For me, birth date, fine, that's a date for me. We'll click that check mark. And now I'm going to click Done Editing so that saves. Now, the reason why custom fields come in handy is because then, if this is going to be, and I'm just going to put in Eric's name, Eric Travefy, that's his first and last name today. I'm going to put in his birth date. We're going to say, okay, I just happened to talk to Eric. I just got off a call with him. I happen to write down his birth date. I'm going to put that in so I don't forget. I'm going to say his birth date. And sorry, Eric, I know it was just the other month. I'm going to say that it was the 19th. Not of 2025. Let's change that to, he hits me as a 2000 kid. So we'll put that in there. I'm going to select again. Let's just grab the 20th, actually. Maybe that's right. March 20th, 2000 is his new birth date. It's in there. It's ready for me to go. But there is another reason why I say get comfortable with your custom fields, and that's because you can ask those types of questions on your forms. So if you aren't someone who wants to type in information manually, I don't know what kind of person wants to do that, right? You can actually add those as a question type onto your forms, and I'm going to show you how to do that soon. Now, last thing that I always recommend in here as well, label all of your contacts, even if it's just one label. This is how you organize your clients together using those labels. So for Eric here, let's say that he's a new client of mine. Something that I usually like to do is put a new client label on. I'll select that. And now you can see he has that little label. It's really easy. You just type in the type of label that you're looking for, whether it's, oh, maybe I'll do that he's an all-inclusive customer of mine. You can type in all-inclusive. I'll select create and add, and that adds your label in there. But the reason why I say label is because if you have an extra 10, 20 minutes in your day, and again, if you're just getting started, or if you have been an advisor for a while, you know how important time is and using it wisely. I maybe want to contact all of my new clients, just take a look through and see if I can do anything for them. So I'm going to select my new clients. I have 4 currently, and you can see all 4 that are right within here. So from here, I can go ahead, open up my notes, give Eric a call, type down everything that he's telling me, check mark that, and that's going to tell me the dates, the time that I put that in, and it's all in here in one source versus me having to have, a notepad here, I have a Google Doc over there, and then having it somewhere else. I'm sure that you can relate to that on some level, but having one place knowing where, okay, I need to know everything about Eric. I know he's a new client, check that, go to Eric's profile, okay. Last call note that I put in was a week ago. I know that he wanted me to give him a call the other day. So that's my 2 cents on contacts and what I would recommend getting started with. Again, custom fields, labels, getting comfortable with adding some contacts in, whether it's through a template or if you're manually adding it in yourself. Now, I'm going to go and show you a third way that contacts can get added in even easier. I'm going to go to our library. And as you can see, here's what mine is looking like. It's a little bit messier than I usually keep it, but the library is your own personal database of resources. So anything that you can use again, even if it's just a few more times, save it to your library, create it, and put it in your library, because that's going to allow you to just keep moving even quicker. So this is where your forms live, along with a lot of other things. I would highly recommend, when we're talking about CRM, about Travefy, click New Library Item and get really comfortable with these three under Administrative. These are pretty much your CRM items that are going to help you move quickly when you're growing your client base. Now, first thing that I'm going to do is we're going to go down to this complete booking form. And I'm going to scroll down, and as you can see, we just have, basic contact information. I'm asking payment information and uploading a passport. Let's add in a question together. I'm going to select Add New, and the first thing I'm going to do is select that question option. Once I do so, it's similar to how that custom field was set up. Put in the type of information you're looking for, and to the right is going to be the type of answer you're looking for from that respondee. Well, let's put in that birthday question. I'm going to say birthday. To the right is where I'm wanting to find the answer field. Now, I'm not going to make it multiple choice, and I'm not quizzing my clients on what their birth date is. However, when it comes to those custom fields, again, that is the type of information that you specifically like to look for from your client that you set up in your contacts. You can go down and go into your smart fields. The easiest way that I like to explain smart fields is that this is the feature that's going to make sure that you don't have to manually enter in information. So if I were to send a smart field question, let's say that birth date, and I send it to Eric, he puts in his birth date. It automatically updates his contact profile. So if I were to put it in wrong, maybe I got that year off, and he puts in his correct birth date, it automatically updates his contact profile. If this is to someone brand new, maybe I have this form on my social media because I'm really focused on my marketing, or I have this form linked onto one of my Travefy website pages, this is going to create a brand new contact profile for that individual who responded. So again, smart fields, it does a lot, but at the end of the day, it's making sure you don't have to manually enter in things. So that was a long-winded little explanation there, but let's go back to what we were focused on. We're asking for a birth date. We know that's a smart field. And now I'm going to click into that little sub heading right here. I'll zoom in so you can see that. Under Smart Field, we're going to choose what type of custom field we're looking for. Well, this is going to be one where I'm going to have to zoom back out. Let's grab that birth date. And do we want to require this? Yes or no? I'll leave it as a no for right now. We'll click that check mark. And from here, we can share it out with Eric. He can fill it out. And again, that smart field is going to update his contact profile with any changed information that those smart fields detect. So it's really, really nice to have in there. You can get into the weeds with it like I did, but it's really going to save you time when you're utilizing these forms and when you don't have enough time to put everything together yourself. Now, let's add in one more thing that I've been recommending to people, and that is adding in a little personalization, a little bit of character to your forms. And you can do that with a text and image only field. A text and image only, that's exactly what it sounds like. This is where you can put in some instructions on how to read through the form. You could put in a little, hey, I'm so glad that you're interested in booking my services. Please do X, Y, and Z. This is a type of field that you aren't looking for an answer from your client. And so we'll say that this is a nice message to respondees. Really personalized, as you can tell. And then what I like to do is in that image area is upload a logo. So I'm going to just go to my upload area, click upload. Let's grab one of my mini logos. We'll grab this guy. And I'm going to click edit. As always, if you know me, I always click edit to make sure that anything that you're uploading fits really nicely into this little box. Once I'm done, I'm going to keep edits, click save, but you can use this little text and image only field for so much more. So I've seen people where they're asking for everyone to decide which destination they want to go with, and You can easily put in a picture of Fiji if you're asking if they want to go to Fiji in a form. It's a nice way to bring some visualizations to an otherwise pretty standardized thing. Now let's click save. You can tell that this is at the bottom. I want this to be at the top. Something you're going to find out in Travefy is that we love our drag and drop. You can drag and drop pretty much anything in Travefy. And so what I'll do is I'll just start dragging and dropping it up. This works a lot better when I have a mouse versus using my trackpad, what I'm doing right now. But I'm just gonna drag and drop it to the very top. And once done, let's preview this together. I'm hitting preview. Here's what it would look like if someone were on their mobile device. They just put their information in, hit continue. If I go on desktop, it scrolls it all out really nicely for me. And here's that birthday area where they can put in their own birthday. And again, we have smart fields for contact questions where when someone fills it out, it goes ahead and creates that contact profile for me. So I don't have to do it myself. Let's exit that preview. And when you are ready to share this out to your clients, easy enough, hit those buttons up at the top. You can email this directly to someone. I will usually tell people if you're emailing it to someone specific, just do the email function in Travefy because we can actually track that a bit better for you. So if I were to put in an email, let's put in, I just go with Cynthia all the time. She's my star fake client. I'll say we're sending that to Cynthia. We'll leave that as is. That's just a card authorization area. Send that form off. What's super nice is I can say, you know what? I haven't heard from Cynthia in a while. I'm going to go ahead and check her out to make sure that she got that form. I'm going to click into Cynthia. Okay, yep, I can see that I sent it a few seconds ago. If we see that they viewed it, we'll put a little viewed button right there. So that's just a little insight for you if you are starting to work with some newer clients that maybe aren't referrals, that you really just don't know too much about them and whether or not they're going to be filling things out for you anyways. That's always really nice to just make sure you're dedicating your time to the right people. Now, I'm going to go back to our library. Let's find that complete booking form that we were using. My last tip when it comes to forms, before we start moving on to a few other things in our CRM, is, again, I'm bringing up the spreadsheets. I know you guys love it. When you have multiple responses on a single form, you can send this to as many people as you want. You don't have to create a new form for each person. You can actually export all of your responses into a spreadsheet. So if that's an easier way for you to just analyze the information, do it. This is nice if you're working with a big group. You can add in your response limits. There's a lot of things that we could dig into with just forms, but I want to make sure we can try and cover as much as we can today. But if you have questions, I know that Stephanie and Eric are putting them in my queue so we can go ahead and talk about them at the end here. But let's go ahead, let's click done. Let's summarize a bit of what we've talked about already. We saw contacts, we saw how we can add in those custom fields, we can label contacts to group them together more easily for us. And then also we're seeing how with forms, we can use those smart fields, we can use those custom fields we created in our contacts to make our lives easier so we don't have to manually put that information in. We also could put in our logo, custom messages to personalize something that's pretty administrative, and I'm going to just say it, filling out forms is kind of boring. So add your personal touches into these little areas to just make, again, the entire process as memorable as possible. Now, if you thought that was a lot, we're going to continue adding on to this. The next thing I want to talk to you about are your task and automations. Task and automations plays a huge part in making sure, again, that you're saving as much time as possible. So we're going to talk a bit about how and what those are. Task, think of that as a reminder for yourself to get something done. If you have a to-do list, that's pretty much what a task is on Travefy. It's saying, hey, we need to get this done, and you can check it off once you are done with it. An automation is going to be where you have Travefy send something out on your behalf on whatever date or timeline that you want us to. So think about those days where it's like, you know what, I want to take Friday afternoon off because I want to go hang out with my kids, or I want to go with my grandkids, or I just want to have some time for myself. You can have automations continue to send things out while you're away. This also goes for when you're going on fam trips or you're going to conferences. You need things to keep moving even though you aren't present there at that moment. Have automations send things out. Another great tip that I have for you is if you are on a team. So for my admins you have a really great workflow down, you know that things work this way if you do X, Y, and Z. You want your team members to succeed. You can create what we call task lists. That's where you put in your automations and tasks. And that's a way that you can share with your team members so that they follow those same steps in that same workflow of yours. So a lot to be said just about that feature alone. So let's start off with the basics. Let's create a new library item. And as before, we're going to focus a little bit on that administrative area. I'm going to create a task list. This is a combination of putting your task in as well as automations. So you don't have to set up each one every time you have a trip or a new client come in. You just put it together ahead of time and you can assign that task list to your trip. You can assign a task list to a contact. Let's actually see how it works. Let's create a task list. And to the right, you can kind of see that menu, and let's put something really simple together today. I'm going to say that this is my booking workflow. And as you can see, we have labels. Labels, again, is how you can group and organize things together in Travefy. For my labels, I'm going to type in training camp so I can find this easier. And then I'll also put in workflow. This is already a label of mine, so just by clicking workflow, it puts that on there. And now you have the option of deciding what do you want to add in first. This is where I say take a little bit of time, carve out some time on your calendar and think about what you typically do when you get a new client in. What do you typically do, after the trip is taken? Start somewhere small so you can work your task list up. For me today, I'm going to cheat. I have a little bit of a note on what I want to do. I'm going to first automate a booking form. So we'll add in an automation. Again, automations, you are having Travefy send something out on your behalf. Now let's work our way from top to bottom. What is the type of automation we're doing? Well, I want this to automate sending a form to my clients. We'll select form. Great. What form is it that you want to send? Let's just keep sticking with that complete booking form that we just worked on. And from here, do we want to include a custom message? This is a message that they will receive when they get the email from you. I would say go ahead and put something down. I'll just say message for right now. And then this is an authorization description. If anyone does have questions on the authorization piece, this is part of the credit card authorization in Travefy, which is PCI compliant, which is huge. No matter if you're using Travefy or if you're using other softwares, always make sure that whatever platform you're using, we can provide documentation on the security, on the compliancy. And I know, Eric, you're going to love this. I'm going to tell them if they have questions about documentation, reach out to us. They'll give us a little bit of time. We are just have a ton of conversations. We have great questions in here. We might be a little bit slower than what you're used to seeing from us, but you can also go into the Help Center right here, search up security. And I like to do this really quick and I need to find something, or if I have a supplier name that I need to look up, I just go to this Help Center right here. And then you can find all of the different ways that we keep your account and your client's information secure in here. So if you have a client that's asking about that, just let us know. I went a little off topic, but let's get back to what's at hand. This is that automated form that we're doing. This is pretty standard. It's non-refundable deposit, or this could even be for, if you wanted to do your planning fee, whatever you're authorizing them for, put in that description, put in the amount, and 30-day deadline, pretty standard across the industry. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do on here is our date. When do we want this to send out by? You can always put in a scheduled date that is going to work off the itinerary start and end date. So if this is something like a non-refundable deposit, I could say, okay, I usually like to get that 90 days before the itinerary start date. Have it work for you. You could also do it for after the itinerary start date or before the itinerary end date. You can have some fun with that. Now, other very important thing, put in your time. Date and time is what makes the automation work for you. So I'll say that we're going to have this send out at 10 a.m. I'll click done. And now we have our first automation in there. Now, let's go ahead. Let's add one more thing in. We're going to add a task in. So we have our automation. We're going to add a task. Pretty simple. We're going to work our way from top to bottom. I'm going to say send cruise payment plan. Pretty easy. Again, that task is a reminder for me to get something done. Now, due date wise, you could put in that due date just like before, or if you don't have a date right now where you aren't sure what dates really work for you, you could always leave this blank. And I'll just do that. We'll click done. But when you put in a deadline for a task reminder, you're notified in a few ways. One, if you have Travefy Pro, the mobile app downloaded, that's your free app in the App Store that you want to download. Your clients don't want to download that one. This is going to be a feature only within that app where you can see all of your task reminders. You can get sent a push notification to your phone whenever you have a deadline coming up. If you do not have the mobile app downloaded, just for whatever reason, you'll instead get an email notification saying, hey, you have these upcoming tasks that are coming up on their deadline. Now, there's another way that we let you know, and I'm going to click done so this saves right here. But we'll also let you know with this little clipboard up at the top right by your name with a little notification. I have 3 things that are overdue, as you can see, but once you're done, you can just start clicking into them and checking them off of your list. You can also click to view all tasks. And this is going to show you quite literally everything. This is a little embarrassing for me because I'll add in automations willy-nilly and forget about them. And as you can see, there's a lot in there. So let's get the heck out of the mine at least. But that's going to just, again, help you stay on track, especially if you're feeling like there's a million things going on. I always love a good task reminder to keep me on schedule. But now we have our task list in here. We can continue to add things in, which most people will want to add more than just 2 things onto a task list. But how would we assign this to work? Well, let's go to our trips. I am going to go to our Cynthia Smith 2025 vacation. And I'll expand this open so you can see this a bit better. And you'll notice under your trip menu, you have this handy little task and automations area. Well, this is where you can add in individual automation tasks that come up, or you can add in whole task lists. So when I do that, I'm going to grab our booking workflow, which is the one we just put together, put that in. We're going to decide what do we want these tasks to be imported for. As you can see, I have quite a few different itineraries and proposals on this one trip. I am going to want it to go for this Princess Cruise. I'll click import. And so now you can see, okay, we're going to automate that complete booking form. Also send the cruise payment plan for that Princess Cruise itinerary that Cynthia and her friend decided to go with. But this is where you just know where you can come back to. It's going to go based off of dates. So February 9th, obviously 90 days before that itinerary starts. We're a little overdue on that automation, so we can just send it out manually if we wanted to. Now, I know that people probably are having questions about tasks and automations, but I'm going to keep on moving along because I want to make sure we have enough time at least to look at supplier invoicing. And like I mentioned, we'll have time to go back through any common questions that have come up that I've stirred up. But let's take a look at that new supplier invoicing feature. I'm going to click Add New. And at the bottom, this is going to show us all the different resources we can add into this one trip. So we saw how we could add in our own task lists and automations and task reminders into the trip menu area. But now if I want to click supplier invoicing, this is a little bit of what comes up. And I always say this, you probably have heard me say it 5 times during just this session, work your way from top to bottom with all of it. So let's put together a quick little invoice. I'm going to title this Hotel and Cruise Deposit, just so I know. But if you have a system in place that works really well for your titling, of course, you can put whatever you need to in there. And then this is where we'll add in our line items. So you can add multiple line items. For our first one, let's just say hotel. And I'm going to copy and paste some description from my other window. This is going to be for the full price of the hotel. And one quantity, we aren't going to charge them twice for the hotel. What's the price? That's going to be $400 total. And super handy is you have a list of all these different currencies that you can go through depending on what exactly you're invoicing or what type of clients you're working with. But $400 USD, that's the price of the hotel. You could just send out the supplier invoice just like this. However, if we want to save ourselves an email, if we want to save our clients an email, we can add multiple things in here. So let's add in one more thing. I'm going to click Add Item, pretty simple. And the next thing we'll do is, let's say that we need to charge them for their cruise deposit. In this description area, I'm going to just copy and paste that in. It's a non-refundable deposit to hold their cabin. And let's say I need to charge both travelers for this. So I'll do 2. And from here, let's put in our price. Let's say that it's $50 altogether. And as you can see, it's just totaling everything up right here. So 1 times 400, that's 400. 2 times 50, 100. Altogether, that is 500. It's still really nice that it's calculating all of that for us, so I don't have to get my calculator out. We could also decide, do we just want to show them the total? We don't need to get into the weeds with the descriptions. You do have the option to just display the total. However, let's keep that on for right now. And the next thing that we're going to work through is, okay, $500. That can be a lot for some people, especially when maybe this is their first trip that they're doing. I don't want to hit them right off the bat with that $500 bill. Maybe this is a quick weekend cruise. Great. Let's do a payment schedule. I have told them that I offered it. They have mentioned that they would be interested in scheduling out payments. So I'm going to do that for them. I did that a little quick, so let's do that again. Use payment schedule is something you can click into, and it's going to show you this now once we have it selected. And this is where you can split up those payments from that $500 total into whatever installment plan that you want. For me, I'm going to say the first thing that I need them to pay is that cruise deposit. It doesn't have to be line by line items. You could say installment 1, installment 2, installment 3, really whatever your clients are used to seeing or whatever makes the most sense for the type of trip that you're invoicing for. But I'm going to say this is for the cruise deposit. I'm going to say that this is also due maybe by next Friday. Today's the 11th. We'll say that this is due the 18th. All right, let's add in the next installment. This is where we can edit that amount price a little bit more. So we'll say that $50 is due April 18th. I'm going to get this little warning that says $50 is not equaling that $500 that you are invoicing for. So let's get that fixed. I'm going to say hotel payment. And let's go ahead and put our date in. If we want to have this due, let's say the 12th, we can have that there. And let's add in really quick our total, $400. And as we can see, oh, we actually are missing that 50, so I'm glad that little sign is showing. We need this to actually be 100. There we go. Now it's a little bit happier. I'm glad Leah and Ryan, who were the people who put this together, Ellie, that you put that feature in for people like me. Otherwise, I would not be matching that total. But we have it 500 out of 500. It's equaling the checks and balances. So now what? We had our line items. We put in our payment schedule that we are letting them do. And now, last things that we'll do before we actually send this off, before we preview it, is if you have your terms and conditions, highly recommend getting your terms and conditions in here because they will still need to sign off electronically. Have them sign off to your terms and conditions. You can also attach as many documents as you need to. So if I were to do just this quick document right here, they'll be able to see that. So if you want to attach the invoices from the hotel as well as the cruise line, for this example at least, you can put all of that right within here. Now, I'm going to say terms and conditions are here. Let's keep going. What is this looking like for the client? This is pretty straightforward, at least I hope so for you guys. To me, at least, this is pretty standard. I'm going to select preview and let's see what our client would see. They get a whole invoice page. They're going to get your information, of course, right there at the top. This is coming from your profile. And let's just walk through a bit of the things that they're going to see. They'll see what their remaining balance is. So right now it's 500 because they haven't authorized anything quite yet. They'll be able to see everything that they have authorized and what is left to authorize on there. Total due, still 500. We haven't done a thing. And then they'll see those invoice line items that you put in as well as the payment schedule. Again, this doesn't have to match your line by line. It could be installment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many installments you're letting them do. Now to the right, here's a little bit more. We're going to be able to see those dates that we sent it by. This is more so for you when it's open. Terms and conditions are going to be in there, all of your attachments that you've included. And your clients, this is really where they are going to be clicking into. They're going to be able to see what payment they can authorize if they want to move on to the next payment, what payment details they want to use. They don't have to use the same payment details for each authorization. If, let's say, take a family, mom wants to pay the first one, dad's taking the second one, grandparents are taking the third installment. That's totally okay. This is what the invoicing feature is going to allow them to do. Now, here's another push to go review that session that Kyle and Liart did. There's a few features that are coming up next week that we're releasing with invoicing. This is the first ways we usually work in phases, but one of the other features coming your way is going to be that you can have them pay just a certain part of it. So, if, you know what, this isn't due until May 11th, at least this $100 deposit is. Maybe I just want to pay $50 right now, and then someone else on my family can pay the other $50 as long as it gets done by May 11th. They're going to be able to specify the amounts that they want to authorize. So giving them a little bit more flexibility, still making sure that they get everything done on your timeline. But more to come on that. I was hearing early next week. We'll see what other features are coming out, but we are staying busy. So, all right, this is what preview mode's looking like. Let's click out of there. And just to summarize, this is where we've been hanging out. We've been putting in our line items. Here's that payment schedule. We just previewed it. When you're ready to send it, click send. Here's what comes up for us. I'm going to click Cynthia. Again, she's my star client. You can send this to multiple people, but it would be them authorizing that $400 and $100. So only Cynthia really needs to take care of this, for me at least. You can CC yourself, of course. And let's grab in a quick saved message. Saved messages are what you can create in your library. And let's send the email on off. We'll do that there. And your client's going to receive a nice little email that says, so-and-so, here's your invoice. It's going to include your custom message if you include that along with your header information. Now I'm going to see if I have an email saved so you can see what that does look like for them. So bear with me just a second. Let's see if we can find them. All right, I'm going to pull this over. And travel advisor would like, oh, this is my form notification. Let's get out of there. See, guys, I have just way too many emails floating around here. But I'll actually show you what everything does look like once you have received it. I'm going to keep an eye on this. Oh, never mind. Found it, guys. Bear with me. So sorry. This is just, we're getting really to the end of training camp when we get to this point. But we have our hotel and cruise deposit. They can take a look at everything. We'll view the invoice together. And like I said, that preview is pretty close to what they're seeing. They can actually add in their payment methods. And if they want to see what their remaining balance is, it's going to show them right here. They can also authorize things earlier. So we put those due dates in for May 11th as well as another date. They can just decide to authorize everything in one go if they want to. They'll click Add Payment Method. This is going to look pretty similar to the credit card authorization. By the way, everything that we're asking for their card information, their payment information, we are PCI compliant. So again, reach out to us if you want any of those documentation details, but they'll put in their card information in. I can't show you. Zoom's going to get mad at me if I try to put in card information. But let's actually see what that looks like on your end once you do receive some of that supplier invoicing back. Let's go to this example here. I'm going to go right here. And you can see easily all of the people that you've sent it to. One nice thing is that you can resend this. So if Cynthia here, she said, hey, I totally deleted my email. It's gone. Can you resend me that invoice? Yes, I can. It's going to be the same link. They could just save their email and just continue going to that link, but it's not a problem. I can resend it to her, resend that email off. She can access it and reauthorize. And we're going to keep track of that history for you as well. So you can see when I first sent it this morning at around 9:12 a.m. You can also see that she opened it. That's what that little I symbol means. And you can see that we sent it this date. When she opens it, we'll be able to see that. So again, just a few features that are going to give you a little bit more helpful insight, especially when you're working with those types of clients that you just need to help a little bit more. Not only that, if we go to our authorization areas, I actually authorized on Cynthia's behalf all of these charges so we could view the credit card information. I won't actually show you the card information unless Zoom boots me out of here, but you'll be able to view it right here, the CVV code, if that's what you're asking for, which typically we will. And then when you're ready, you can always delete it. You're going to pay your suppliers, pay the hotel. This would be the cruise deposit, so you'd be paying the cruise line. And then once you're done, you can go in here and you can decide, okay, I'm going to mark that as charged, or I'm going to mark this as so-and-so. Hotel payment, let's do that one. Let's mark that as paid. You can do partial charge, mark expired, or download the PDF. We'll just mark it as paid. Click out of that. And now my client's all good to go. But invoicing, that's going to all be right here. Let's go back through and just really quick summarize everything, because again, I know just from everything that we've talked about before invoicing, that was a lot. And now I'm throwing you guys all of this information. So I'm going to do a quick review of everything right now, and then let's dive into some questions and discuss this a bit more. When we started that invoicing, all you had to do is click that Add New button, select Supplier Invoice to create brand new invoices. And from here, we added in all of our line items. We put in the amounts, the quantities, the descriptions. We decided for this client that we would do a payment schedule. And you could do it line by line. You could do as many installments as you wanted to, put in your due dates for them. And then you could also add in your terms and conditions, as well as any attachments that you need them to see. Once you're ready, you send that off to your client. They keep that invoice page handy. They can authorize it right then and there. You can resend it to them really easily in here too if they need it resent to them. And once you have that back, I didn't mention this, you'll be emailed a notification, and that takes you right back into here. And once you have those authorizations, you can start paying your suppliers with that information. You can go in, you can say, yep, this has been charged, or if it's not been paid, you can do that, just to keep you on track and making sure that you are getting them booked and ready to go on their trip. This is hopefully going to make sure that, it's going to save you an email here or two. If not, again, resend option is there for you. But that's just about invoicing. But we really started at the beginning when we talked about contacts, adding their information in to begin with. We also saw how with forms, we could use smart fields to save ourselves time instead of having to create their contact profiles manually, and how to add in some personalizations with our logo, a quick custom message. And not only that, we could wrap up our workflow really easily and nicely within that task list, which combined automations, it combined task reminders for us to stay on track of things. And now with supplier invoicing in here, it's just helping make sure that you guys just get to stay in one platform versus having a million windows open like I do right now. So this is all working together. We're going to be releasing even more CRM features and enhancements as early as next week to supplier invoicing. But I know Stephanie looks like she is concentrating on the Facebook questions, and I know Eric is probably busy with his keyboard on fire with questions. But how are we feeling? What do we want to go back through to make sure that you guys feel really confident using these features?
It's so funny. I know. I'm like, oh my God. No, there's all good stuff. But I've had to go look for things. And also I told Bonnie I accidentally cut my finger yesterday. So like my typing is slowed down a little bit. So that's been fun. But I have some questions, Bonnie. Okay, first one. Let me go back up to. Okay, this was from Lindy on Facebook. So this was earlier. Had asked, is the only way to have a date for automation or tasks for the itinerary start date? What if you're still working on a proposal and you just like, can you specify the date? So like, are you stuck basically, or can you change that if you needed?
No, good question. Good question. Let's go back to that booking workflow. So in that task list, this is something that we create ahead of time for a trip. However, if you know that, you send the cruise payment plan out and there's not usually a date range that this happens, you can do it like me where you can leave things blank. You could add in your own personal notes if you wanted to as well. So for this form type, for instance, you can choose to not have this scheduled out right now. You can always remove that out, click done. And Let's just go to one of our trips, for instance. I'm going to go to that Cynthia Smith one. You could also, at the time that you're putting that trip together, let's just say that we're going to add an automation in. We'll say that it's the itinerary invite. You could do a fixed date where you have that specific date in mind. So, like you said, you're working on things, you aren't quite sure quite yet. You don't need it based off of the itinerary start date or end date right now, but you have that date in mind. You can go through and you can find your specific date. So you aren't boxed into the automatic due dates. Automatic is nice if you have kind of made a formula on what has worked really well. For instance, I'll throw in this tip that Stephanie, I think you first brought up. But there's this advisor that talked to us where she was like, you know what? I send out the itinerary invite. I do the automation for the itinerary invite like 60, 90 days after their trip's end date. So it just reminds them about how great their trip was. And she kind of uses it as a marketing tool to say, hey, I really loved putting this together for you. It's been a while. It's been almost half a year at this point. What can I get started for you for the next year? So
Yeah.
that's a great way where automatic due dates come in handy. But when you're working on things and you don't have that specific formula quite yet, you can always put in those fixed dates right here too. But
That's
great
such a
question.
cool tip. I love that one. Um, yeah, that's a good one. And I love that too. There were a couple questions that I was seeing about that too, that it's like you don't have, it's nice that you have everything so you don't forget anything, but you're not locked in. That's the beauty of it. It's very flexible. So that's nice. I got another question here though for you, Bonnie.
Ooh,
This is about contacts. So Stacy asks, when we upload contacts via the Excel import, what if the client's already existing in there? Will it duplicate or will it
great
reject?
question. Yes, I actually tested this out, I want to say a few months ago because I had that same question. It'll note that, hey, this looks to be a current contact already. And if that information has changed on the spreadsheet, I always bring up this example. Let's say that Jane Doe is already a contact of yours, but her phone number changed. Well, our sheet's going to say, hey, most of this information looks to match Jane Doe. Do you want us to update that? And so we'll update it with the most recent information that you're uploading through this spreadsheet. So we're making sure that you don't have a contact profile just of Jane Doe's living around there. But great question.
Just a bunch of those living all over.
You don't need any more of those.
Yeah, no, that would be, oh my gosh, that would be disastrous. Be crazy. Okay, I have a question though. Another one.
Okay.
This has to do, we're gonna bounce around a little bit here, Bonnie. So this from Nancy is the payment processor through Travefy. So actually, and I apologize, I don't know, I think you were talking about invoicing with like fees, but I'm not 100%. Did you mention that?
Oh, I don't think I actually mentioned planning fees.
Yeah. Or
The
like, yeah,
planning
the fees. Yeah. Because Nancy, because I think this will clear a little confusion because she asked, like, is the payment processor through Travefy or can you connect with an existing processor? So that's an important thing to bring up actually, because when it comes to our supplier invoicing or credit card authorization, we are not collecting money at all. It's all about the PCI compliance here, and we aren't doing that. So that is not what we're doing. Actually, we are just getting their information, and then you can use that to make the payments. However, here's where the caveat is we do have where we integrate with Stripe, which I'll let Bonnie talk about this difference.
Yes. So I know there's a ton of terms that sound
Yeah,
pretty
there
dang
is.
similar together. So supplier invoicing and credit card authorizations, that is essentially where your client is seeing, their payment schedule if you're using supplier invoicing or if they're doing a one-off credit card authorization to you. They're authorizing you and signing off to your terms and conditions that, hey, you can use my card information. I want you to use this card specifically for this authorization. However, we are not processing that charge, which is why you can go in whenever you want and you can tack on supplier invoicing, for example. Yep, this got paid. I went ahead and the supplier went ahead and charged it and processed it on their end. Who knows what's to come with additional phases of supplier invoicing. But if you're looking at charging planning fees, if that is something that you charge, that is where we are connected to Stripe for you to be able to do that within this system. So that is where a payment is processed, but it's for your planning fees, your research fees, however you want to say that. If you click your name, you'll see where invoices live. And this is where you can create as many planning fee invoices as you need. Again, the terminology is pretty similar.
Yeah.
So if I can clarify on that at all, let me know. But if you're
Yes.
interested in setting that up, go to your linked accounts. I don't talk about linked accounts area enough.
I know,
Spend a
same.
little bit of time in here. You're gonna find some very unique integrations, including the Stripe one. So this is actually a platform that Travefy uses to really run our company. So we want to make sure that when we're doing this type of feature where it is super sensitive information, that we are giving you a platform that we trust our business with. But absolutely go through, make sure that they're going to be a good fit for you. And if you have questions, let us know. But you can also reach out to Stripe's team as well if you have anything specific, questions about their platform, how they work. But it's free to set up. You just connect it. You set up your account. You choose which bank account that you want money deposited into. You can set up your own custom branding. There's a lot of customization features with Stripe, which is nice. Once you're done, you'll receive an email from Stripe saying, hey, you're approved and you're pretty much good to go to start charging those planning fees. However, again, supplier invoicing, credit card authorizations, we are getting the authorizations for the type of payments you're looking for.
Perfect. I love that. I know it's really funny because our invoicing this what you see came out a year or two ago, maybe longer, 2 years ago, I think. I don't even know.
I
It's a
can't even
blur, but
remember.
yeah, so that's why. So these are the kind of things that we will be like what Leah and Kyle were talking about yesterday that phase 1 as Bonnie said and it'll start coming together. But I'm going to rapid fire a couple and I can answer these
Ooh,
really fast cuz I see
go
some
for
on
it.
Facebook and I had some on Zoom that I wanted to call out. One does okay, so this is well, actually, I'll stay in the contacts really quick because so Tiffany had asked if someone has 2 emails, one business, one personal, how do you get one set as the main one? Bonnie, I'm going to let you show that really quick, actually, because I think this is a
Ooh.
really nice little feature that I never really highlight.
Yeah, so you can put in multiple of them. The first one is actually the primary one that
Hmm.
we'll be using. So if you need to, I'll say that this is Bonnie plus, I'm going to put 19 and hopefully that's not already an email in here. Otherwise, if it's a duplicate, it's going to yell at you and tell you. But if you need to switch it off, you don't have to necessarily delete the first email and start over again. Just edit the first email. All the secondary information is going to be secondary, but we'll typically go off of just that first one that's on the list. I hope that's
Awesome.
what you were going for, Stephanie.
100%. Yep. I love that because I think that's just so smart. Because there's another question on contact stuff about if someone wanted to upload contact information and they didn't have like the first name or the last name. I believe you, and maybe we don't know the answer to this, but I believe you need at least one of those, right? Or maybe not. I
I
don't know.
believe you would need at least one of
At least
those.
one.
Eric
Because,
can yell at us if that's not the
yeah.
case.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Eric, tell us now if not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that because you could put just Cynthia in there. Like you don't have to have two.
Exactly. You wouldn't
Um
necessarily need both.
Yeah. So hopefully that answers that. But I have one more last one, and I can help say this because I think these are important things too. Is so Beth from Facebook asked, does the invoicing cover the payment auth for each payment, or do we still need to send separate CC authorizations? So this is what's really important to know with like again like with the PCI compliance stuff is your client has to authorize the payment for each thing. So like if let's say there's the deposit they do first, so that's a different payment and then the second one is like the final payment. Those are two different ones. The reason why you can't just say, perfect, I have your information. I'm just going to use it on that. Because if there's a chargeback, there's no documentation that says that they authorize a charge for the final payment. That's why it's worked like that. So it's really not much different than if you would send, like, usually you would send, like, hey, here's the I need to collect your deposit right now. And then like 2 months from now, I'll send you another one. It works very much the same. It's just that it's all in one area. So I can see where that can get confusing. You're like, can I just use the card? I have it. But again, just to save yourself security, and your businesses, you will want those to be the separate. So hopefully that all makes sense. I do recommend also too that yesterday I did a session at the end of the day yesterday on it was a short session on just PCI compliance, security, and I kind of walked through some of that stuff. But Also, keep questions coming on supplier stuff because it's so new. It just launched a few days ago that literally Eric and I messaged. We're like, "Do you know the answer to that?" I'm like, "Let me go try," because we're still figuring it out, just like you. So please keep them coming. 'Cause it's good
Yes.
feedback.
And I was going to say, speaking of Eric, he just put a pro tip in here. If anyone didn't know, Eric is on our customer success team, and he knows more of Travefy than both of us because he's in here constantly. His pro tip to you guys when you are looking at importing your contacts, do a test one with just 3 of your contacts starting out. Lest you spend time doing 100 and, for whatever reason, that's 100 things that you would have to check through. Start off with 3 of those test ones. And Eric, if you have any additional, tips on the import, feel free, let us know. But we could probably do a whole pro session with Eric one of these days if we can pull him out from support. So that's what those tips are. Try 3, see how it works, see how it does. And then from there, if it works really well for you and you get familiar with the process, go in, add your hundreds, add your 500s. We've seen that done too. So let us know though if we can help at all. But starting small in those batches works really well. But great.
Amazing.
This has been a lot.
I know. Can I mention one last thing? Sorry. This is because I saw the comment because I keep seeing this one. And guess what, everybody? I literally just shared this to our whole team right before. This is some people were asking about what is like the workaround if someone's paying their invoicing differently? Like they're giving you, let's say they bring in a check for you. That is coming early next week. If all goes well, if all testing goes well, should I say? But hey, Liard and Kyle said that yesterday, so I feel safe saying
we
it.
have
But
that recorded.
yes,
of them
we
saying
do.
That.
Exactly. But I saw a couple variations of that question, so just want to call that out. But okay, that's good. There we go. This is just so exciting. So many fun things and new tools.
I know. And there's always a lot of learning, but don't worry. We're going to continue doing webinars like this outside of training camp when we do get these big features. So expect a lot of resources when it comes to supplier invoicing coming your way, but also Eric and the rest of the client success team are amazing at what they do. So we would be happy to help you out no matter where you are. So let us know.
Yeah.
But we have an exciting little session with Stephanie coming up at 12 a.m. Oh my gosh. PM Central
it's a late
Time.
night. It's a party one.
Late night. No, lunchtime for us. So tune in. We're going to talk about itineraries from the very beginning. So really where we got started, if you will. But no, this has been great. Hope to see some of your familiar names and new names as well in that next one.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.